to another video. So today I'm going to begin doing what I've been not threatening to do for a while, but kind of anticipating doing for a while, maybe is a better term. I've gone through my whole vinyl collection. That's what, when I started these videos, that's how it began, just going through my vinyl records, because they weren't stored away, they were out and had access to them. Whereas my CD collection, you see kind of behind me, that was all boxed up in storage. So I finally moved into this place and was able to take everything out, put it up on the walls, build these shelves with my buddy Owen the Giant, and my brother-in-law Alberto helped me too. And now I have access to them. So I decided to, like I did with the vinyl, kind of go through my CD collection. I have, I guess, over 1,500 CDs. Still buy them. I know a lot of people don't, but a lot of people do. They're cheap now. You can find them pretty cheap, although some of the prices are starting to creep up a little bit. But I still like them. I really enjoy going out to the stores and digging through the used CDs and picking certain things up, you know. So I'm gonna go through my CD collection. I'm gonna begin with artists that I have a chunk of CDs by, and then I'll do other ones where it's just like, you know, here's a bunch of artists that start with the letter G or whatever, stuff like that. So today we're beginning with Agent Orange. Busted out one of my old shirts, it's all wrinkled up, but I've seen them live a bunch of times. They're one of my favorite bands. I started listening to them in the 80s. You know, they were kind of like the soundtrack to us skateboarders. You know, they would always be mentioned in Thrasher magazine or Trans World skateboarding magazine. And so that's how I discovered them. I read about them there, and then went out to the store, record store in the mall, and found a few of their cassettes, and just really became a fan of the band. Saw them live for the first time in, like, not until like the 2000s, like early 2000s or something, in New York. And when I saw them live in New York, I didn't even realize they were still around. I hadn't heard about them in so long, and it hadn't really crossed my path, you know, and just surprised to see them. And to the point where is when I saw them listed as being playing at this club called the Continental, I almost thought, is it the Agent Orange, or is it like some new band that just didn't realize there was a band named Agent Orange, and just used that name unaware that there already was a band. But it was them. But Mike Palm's the only original dude still there. They still are out playing live. Their output records, you know, is not that big. They don't have a lot. I know they had some issues with record label early on, and I don't know if that soured them on, you know, writing new stuff or whatever, but I know there were some issues, but they don't have a huge output. So I'm just going to kind of just whiz through my CDs that I have of them, all of them, starting with their first record, Living in Darkness. Now this is a reissue that Rhino put out, and I have, you see, I have ticket stubs on the back of the CDs. I do that with ticket stubs. Usually if I have a record by the band, I'll put it in the CD for safekeeping. But this isn't the correct artwork. The correct artwork's a little different. It's like the band, the three of them, kind of like in, not so, like in darkness, but like kind of silhouette-ish kind of looking, and kind of like a Phil Collins record cover. But it's a great record debut. Just full of a lot of great, awesome tunes. This reissue, I guess, has the original album. It's got like an interview on there, which I forgot about, which I'd like to maybe pop in and take a listen to. And it's got, they have a EP they put out called Bitchin' Summer. That's on here. And there might be like another little like kind of alternate version of a track. Maybe, I thought maybe, yeah, there's a different version of Bloodstains on here as well, which I don't know if that was on Bitchin' Summer or not. I don't think it was. But the booklet's got some pictures, lyrics, a little bit of info on the band. But this was their first record. Came out, I think, in 80 or 81 on Posh Boy, who I think is the label that they kind of had some problems with. After that, I think this came out first. When You Least Expect It was a EP. This is actually the first thing I ever picked up by them, but on cassette, not on the CD. And the CD adds a couple of tracks. They tacked on, I think, Shaking All Over, I think, and maybe Secret Agent Man was added to this one. I'm not sure, but this was the first thing I picked up by them. Really dug it, and really cool little EP with just a couple tracks. That was quickly, I think, followed up by this album. I don't remember which one of these came out first. I might have the order backwards, but this is The Voice. This was the first full length I ever picked up by them. This I picked up on cassette, still have them somewhere. Really good record, really cool tunes on here. Again, I don't think I mentioned at the beginning, and maybe you already kind of figured out, you know, they're a punk rock band, kind of surf punk from Southern California, from that same kind of environment that gave us such great bands as Descendants and Black Flag and X, and on and on and on. I love the Southern California punk scene. You know, it's just my favorite, really. If I had to pick, I mean, I like them all, but if I had to pick, that would be my favorite. But this is a really good record. I like the songs on here. The production's not the best. I mean, I feel like maybe someone else at the boards might have produced a better sounding record than this, which is a shame, because it kind of does a little disservice to the songs, which I think are really awesome. Then what I have here is the Sonic Snake Sessions, which this is a 2 CD. Flip it around. Well, nope, that ain't gonna cooperate. But 2 CD set. This is essentially the first disc is these two combined onto the first CD. The second CD is a concert at the Roxy in Hollywood. I don't know what year it's from, maybe 90 or 91, something like that. It's was released separately as, I think it's called like Real Live Sound, if you pick up the CD by itself. I think that's what it was called, Real Live Sound, but it's on here on disc 2. Really good concert. You know, and again, like I was talking about with This Is The Voice, the songs on that, some of those songs, when you hear them here on the live version, sound 100 times better, you know, than the studio version. So really cool. Then an album I wasn't even aware of around when I was talking about, in like early 2000s, when I saw them live that first time, and didn't even know they were still around. But that's when I kind of started just like kind of looking up, you know, what had come of them, what happened to them. And I realized that they had put out this record, which I had never heard of, called Virtually Indestructible. And it's pretty good. It's getting a little more like pop punky sounding. You know, I like it. There's a handful of tunes on here I really like. There's some songs I don't know that you would really even categorize as punk, but it's a good record. I like it. This one was a little tricky to pick up because it was kind of rare. I don't think there were a ton of these. I think they kind of self-released this. But I remember like the early days of eBay, of just starting to use eBay and stuff back then. And that's how I found this. And I didn't even have an account. I had to, like, you know, ask a friend, hey, can you bid on that for me? I'm trying to win that CD. So that's how I finally picked this one up, but it's really good. Then over the years, they've released a lot of like best of collections with all various different titles. There's probably 6 or 7 of them floating around out there. They all have different titles, but for the most part, the track listing is pretty similar. This is one version I picked up at a live show called It's the Frenzy. You know, it's like just something that they obviously are putting together themselves, you know. And it's got a lot of their classic tunes on here, but I think most of these, or a good portion of these, are like re-recordings. again, going back to the issues they had maybe with Posh Boy, with publishing or whatever. So they re-recorded a bunch of these, and that's usually, if you pick up like a best of Agent Orange, you know, even vinyl, but if you pick up a best of, that's usually what you're going to be getting, probably the re-recordings, which aren't bad, they're still good, but they're just, you know, buyer beware. And this is another version, this one calling Surfing to Some fucked up shit. Okay, I guess I can say it, right? And whatever. If YouTube wants to take it down for language, I don't think they do that. But anyways, this is another version. Again, same sort of thing. Sometimes, you know, there's certain little tracks that are on one that aren't on another, you know, but more or less it's kind of the same ones. And again, a lot of the older tunes, or a good portion of the older tunes that would appear on these, are re-recordings. So anyways, that's my collection of Agent Orange CDs. There you go. That's the whole collection that I have on CD. Got a bunch of their stuff on vinyl. You can go back and check out those videos as well if you really want to. But great band. You know, if you're into punk rock, if you love that Southern California punk rock, or you know, early '80s punk rock, highly recommend checking them out. If you get the chance to see them live, they're usually put on a really good show. They still are out there touring around. So that's it. So that's the first one. Now I'm just going to kind of be going through the CD collection little by little. Thank you for watching. I'd love to hear what you think of this band. If you're familiar with Agent Orange, you're a fan, grew up listening to them, grew up skateboarding listening to them, whatever, by all means, please leave a comment below. Love to chat with y'all. So thanks for watching. We'll see you another time. Later.